Hey everybody, it's time for this week's installment of Ask MIRA Wed. And this week's question comes from our client Melissa, who we are helping plan a beautiful wedding for 300 people at the Avila Beach Golf Resort this coming July. We're very excited. But we were chatting yesterday and she had some great questions about photography, which is one of the most important pieces of the wedding vendor team. Obviously, your day is going to go how it goes. You're going to have these memories of the day, and it is so important for them to be immortalized in photos. So photography is very important. I think everyone can agree with that. So we're going to talk about the top 3 things to make sure you can check off your list when you're chatting with different photographers. So the first one is, are you available? Don't assume that your favorite photographer is going to be available. And in this particular industry, there is no such thing as waiting out for a good deal. Great photographers will book out years in advance depending on their experience level. So it's really important that if you're considering having a particular photographer, once you have a date, or even if you're considering a couple of dates, call him or her, contact him or her, or have your wedding planner contact him or her and see if they have your date available. Also, depending on the size of that photographer's company, you want to make sure that it's going to be that particular person that's going to be showing up on your day of, obviously barring any unforeseen circumstances or injuries, God forbid. But we want to make sure that when we are booking with the photographer that we love, that it's going to be that actual person that shows up on the day of. Which rolls me into my second point is, make sure, or at least ask the question of whether or not they are going to have a second shooter. Now, I have done plenty of weddings where there has not been a second shooter, and for those who don't know what that is it's kind of a photography assistant that actually captures photos alongside the main photographer throughout the day of. So they have experience, they know how to shoot weddings, and they're basically literally a second lens for the photographer to be able to capture things that the main photographer might not be able to get because of timeline issues. They might be getting detailed shots that the photographer cannot actually get himself or herself because they're doing bridal portraits, etc. So having a second photographer, a second shooter, is extremely important, and depending on the timeline and the flow and the size and the layout of your event, it might be really, really important to make sure that your photographer is going to come with a second shooter on the day of. So that's question number 2. Question number 3 to ask them is, what are you going to get for the package price that you're paying for? My number 1 piece of advice for photographers is, you will have a certain budget for photography. Fill up as much of that budget as you can with the photographer's actual time on your wedding day. Do not try to cram in albums and canvas prints and all those things. Get the best photographer that you can afford for as long as you can possibly get them within your budget. You can always go back and add on albums and canvas prints and digital downloads after the wedding, but you will never be able to go back and have your wedding reshot. So make sure that you are investing to have your number 1 photographer come out on the day of and rock your world for as long as you can pay them to be there for, and then we will just take care of albums and prints and things later on. So just to recap, make sure they're available. As soon as you have a date, if there's someone that you have been dreaming about shooting your event, make sure that they're available for you. Number 2, ask if they're going to bring a second shooter or how they handle various aspects in your wedding day timeline if they do not have a second shooter. Well, you know what, actually, even if they do have a second shooter, ask them how they normally divvy out the responsibilities of the day. Who's going to photograph who, and when's it going to be done? Some things, these things don't get taken care of till when more details are planned, but it's nice to hear that photographers at least have an idea of how they're going to tackle certain things throughout the day. And then number 3 is, what are you getting for your package pricing? And again, I recommend that you spend as much as you possibly can within your budget on getting your photographer there for as many hours throughout the day as possible. Little tidbit of extra, consider that you are going to be spending some really up close and personal time with this person, and most of us are not very comfortable taking pictures the way that you'll be taking pictures on your event day. So it's really important that you have that nice connection with your photographer. If you're able to, go meet them either in their studio for coffee. If it's not possible, try phone or Skype. Definitely video conference is a great way to see someone and kind of get an idea of what their personality is like, even if you can't physically meet them before your event. That's going to be a huge, huge, huge help for you to feel comfortable so that you guys are going to be able to take their direction, you're going to be able to vibe with them, and you guys will have a really, really great experience at the end of the whole day. So hopefully that helps you guys get a little bit more definition on how to go about booking your dream photographer for your next event or your once-in-a-lifetime wedding. Until next time.